Hi, my name is Anne-Louise. I'm with Lark Tweed Creative, and today I'm going to show you how to set up a checkout page. This is the last step in the ecosystem. So once you've got your website set up, you've got your landing pages set up, you've got your courses created, you've got your offers attached to your courses or products, it's time to set up your checkout page. Until you're at that stage, the checkout page will be difficult to fully set up. So I do recommend that once you have everything ready to launch and you need to set up your checkout page, that is the stage that I would follow this video. Because before then, you might not have everything you need for this checkout page to function properly. But if you're at that stage, then let's do this. Because it's a newer product, added code to my checkout pages just to ensure that they have all the elements and that it's very clear for the user, for the buyer to know exactly what they're getting. I'm going to go over all of that as well. So the first thing you want to do is you want to go into your settings and you want to make sure that you have your payment set up. Just click on this in your settings. Now I have the growth plan, so you want to make sure that whatever plan you have, that you're able to set up anything that you need. With Kajabi payments, this is everything that's involved. Make sure that you follow all the steps as you set it up. I'm not going to go through that, obviously, because it's very sensitive information. But once you go and you go through this yourself, you'll understand which step to take to make sure that all the information is filled. So make sure you have that done. And then let's go back to settings. You'll also want to make sure that your checkout is also set up. This is really important. Within the checkout page, there is a place with a box to get people to opt in to your email list. You want to make sure that you have that box and you can decide what this says. So subscribe to our email list. You can have that, or you can have it say something else. You can have it pre-checked if you would prefer. But there are risks involved. And so Kajabi is great that way. They're letting you know, like, yes, you can do this, but this may violate email marketing laws depending on where you live. And you can also have this completely disabled where that box doesn't even show up. Once we look at the template, you'll understand which box I'm talking about. So I would recommend the first one here. You can also do these, but again, there are problems with doing that. If you're opting people in automatically, it kind of goes against a lot of the email laws that have been implemented over the past years. The best option would be to use the recommended tips here. So I would do this one and I would do this one. But if you want to learn more about these things, you can definitely read through. I won't go through every single thing. It would be nice though to set up a tracking code. This allows you to see how people interacted with your checkout page to see how you can update it and modify it moving forward. And then make sure that once you have all your settings set up that you click save. Let's go back to the settings. So customer payments, let's go into this one. Okay, you'll want to enable customers to self-cancel their subscription and use two-step cancellation. You can add a personal message and you can add reasons. So that is just the cancellation report if they're going to cancel a subscription. And then these are all things, you just want to kind of go through this and there's a lot of decisions to make. This won't necessarily affect the look of the checkout page, but they're important steps to make sure that the checkout process goes really well. And you also want to make sure you save once you've adjusted these settings. And then the last one we're going to look at here within the settings that needs to be implemented is we want to go into your integration and webhooks. This is everything that's like integrated with Kajabi. I have my PayPal connected. And so if that's how you want to process all of your payments, you can connect PayPal or any other third-party payment provider. You would just click this button and set it up, follow all of the instructions and set that up. So once you have that set up, make sure again that you click save. And then let's go back to our settings. So that covers everything. That's the first step you want to do before you just want to make sure all your settings are good to go. And then you might want to create an offer if you haven't created one already. Just click on new offer. And what they do is they allow you to sell your products. Your products alone in Kajabi, if they're not connected to an offer, you have no way of selling them. So you want to make sure that you set up an offer. I have another video in my YouTube channel that you can watch that will show you how to set up offers. But for this, I've already set up the offer. So I'm just going to use this as an example. You'll notice here, so you'll put the title of your offer and then, this, I put the name of a course. So this is just how I set this up. But let's say your offer includes, more than one of your products, because that's what you can do here. You can add multiple products within one offer. So let's say, you're doing a package or something where they get coaching and they get a course and they get a membership. You can add all of those things. And then the title of the course here wouldn't make much sense. So in this example that I'm using here, I'm just selling the course. So then the title of the course would make sense. Internal title, that's for me. How, or for you, like as your business, how can you label this in a way that makes sense for you? And then the description is also, so the title and the description is something that the client at the end will be able to see. I've left this blank and I'll explain why. I've also had multiple pricing options in this, and we're going to go over that right after. But right now we're just going through the details. And so you can add the product here. So make sure that you're connecting it to a product. You can adjust the date. You want to go through each of these steps and kind of make sure that it's set up exactly how you want it. And post-purchase, where do they go? So there's options here. They can go to a landing page, custom thank you page. I recommend that it brings them to their member library, because then they're in there right away. You can customize the email, or you can have no email, but post-purchase, it's nice to receive an email, just a confirmation that once they've purchased that it works. And I would do a custom email. I don't have an image here for this offer, and I would leave this blank. Otherwise, it will make your checkout page longer, and same with the description. And so once we get into the checkout page, you'll know exactly what I mean, and I'll go over it again. So then we're going to go to pricing. If you're doing just a one-time payment, that's very easy to set up. You can add pricing options. You can adjust your currency. Okay, currency cannot be changed while the offer has multiple pricing options. So you do this before you set up your pricing options. So I could remove these and reset it up. But to add pricing options, you could put in, we could do like an even, like over 4 months, maybe it is $88. Okay, so we did 2. So let's do 3 months. Okay, no, I think it's 4 at 88. So setup fee is optional, so we'll just save this here. Okay, so now we have 3 possible payment recommendations, and then the payment provider, I've set it up as PayPal for my account. You could set it up as your Kajabi payments. This will show up here. You can add a limited time availability on the offer, set a limit on the offer. So these are decisions that you can make. And then let's go into cross-selling. Now, cross-selling is very important, because you want to make sure that you get the order bump. And so once we get to that checkout page and you see the layout, you'll understand what this cross-selling is and what the order bump is. You have an additional offer, and this is great to do because it's a great opportunity to promote your membership or your community. They can add that at their checkout. So make sure you select this. This is what I recommend the layout to be. A short description. This is just lorem ipsum for now, but you would fill this out like high vibrational description of what your membership includes, and then some 3 main points that it includes, how much it is, and then it'll show the price afterwards, as long as you set up an offer for this order bump. So it's getting me to choose an offer. So I chose the membership offer, and so that's been given a price point already. And so it's $33, and then I'm showing it as $44 regular. And then when you go into the settings, this is where you're going to find your checkout page. It's over here. You want to set up, your button background color, custom checkout button text. So this is great because you can choose what you want it to say, and then checkout fields. So that's what shows up here. So that's like their name, their phone number, which is over here, down here, the address. I mean, the address isn't necessary. You don't want to add too many elements. You could probably remove the address. I have it included here. And then you can set a default, or you can use the customer's geolocation. You could add tax ID. You can add custom fields. This is how your checkout's going to look. So whatever you need in there, you choose. Again, these are your decisions, but I have it set up in a way that would be at highest conversion, maybe minus the address. You probably don't need to include the address because it's a digital product. You're going to want to make more decisions here. So a service agreement. So if you're setting up a membership If this is the offer for a membership, you do need a service agreement for that. You could set that up so that to make sure that they can sign the service agreement. Otherwise, I wouldn't include that. You can enable a gift. There's so many things. So make sure you go through all of this. You can even activate an affiliate commission for this offer. Set up emails for if they abandon the cart, which is great. And then you can get a notification if a purchase has been made. So again, more decisions to make. You customize this how you need and what works for your business. Let's go into the checkout. First of all, if you have a new template and you want to upload it, you would click here. You would click on Upload Template, find where the template is and upload it. If you already have an active one here, the template that you upload will show down here. And then you will have an option to activate it for it to become the main template that's active on your account or for this offer. And then here you can export your, if you create the, let's say you want to create your checkout page and then you want to use that same checkout page for other offers, that's when you can export it. So then it'll download to your email and then you can download the zip file and then upload it to whichever offer. So let's go into this custom template. And so now you'll recognize the editor is like, it's like anything else in Kajabi. You've got your sections on the left side, and then you've got the layout and the design on the right. These are the 3 pricing options. So as you can see, we added this one and it's showing the exact same way as the other ones. And when a checkout page is not hard coded, like I've put in some code into my templates to make sure that this looks very clear, to see what they're purchasing, what they're choosing, and it appears on the top there, and it also is selected here. So this is something, if you just use the basic checkout that's included with any offer that you create in Kajabi, this does not look like this. So just a warning that you can find other creators that have something similar set up, but the way that it's set up just in basic checkout template in Kajabi, there's quite a few features that probably need improvement that will come. So these are all the sections we selected. And this is the order bump. So, we talked about the order bump, and this is how it looks. So once you connect, again, this section looks very different if you just have the basic template that comes with Kajabi. And the other thing that I mentioned earlier that I didn't include the image or the description, because if I did include the offer image thumbnail and the description, it would show up here, which just then makes the checkout area much longer, and that can affect your conversion. So you want to make sure that this is short. Okay, it tells you what they're, it tells your buyer what they're purchasing, but let's get straight to the point. What are my pricing options? And then here's my information. And then here's an order bump. You might need this. So you can express this in the text here saying, you might need this. This was the order bump we just looked at earlier. So you want it in that Lorem Ipsum text. You might want it to say like why you need this connected to this offer, why it makes sense. And that's very compelling. They can add it. So then they click add. All of a sudden, okay, great. You've got these 2 offers set up together. You can also remove it. And then once they're ready, they can purchase. On the left side here, this is completely custom as well as the header. You can also add an offer here. You can get an offer on a 30-minute coaching session and pay only $200 where it's usually $300, for example. And this header is custom. And then this whole section here is also to help with the conversion. It's reiterating in a shorter term what was on your sales page. So this can be customized. There's lots of sections you can add. So if I click on this, it'll show you here to the left. These are all sections that I've added and I've customized to look like this. So when you look at the editor, you've got your hero, which is up here, and then you've got your checkout. So when I click on checkout, everything that's here, checkout, that's this section here, where most of the editing for this section has been created in all of the steps that we just took as we went through all of the settings and all the steps that we took within the offer and all of the changes we made. So, this click here, that's when we were in the settings, subscribe to our email list, that if you have this disabled, this wouldn't show here. So that's why it's important to have everything set up in the settings first. And then this section here, that's the blocks. So all of this here, so the mobile checkout, do you want the checkout on top? So this is the checkout. You actually want it second. It's been proven that this converts better if you have the offer details and then jumping into the checkout versus the reverse. You know, having the checkout block on the right versus the left. People typically, when they're on a website, they start right first versus like how we read a book from left to right. So that's why having it on the right side makes more sense, and include header tracking code, include footer tracking code. So these are all, again, options that you can adjust. This involves the checkout over here. And the blocks over here, that is the section to the left that is completely customizable. You can add additional blocks, whatever you need to explain what they're purchasing. I would keep this short though. You don't want it to be necessarily much longer than the checkout area that's on the right. You would want it to be the same length or shorter typically, because you don't want to give too much information. When they're at this point, they've already gone through your entire sales page, so they already know that they want to buy. They're just like, okay, like, so this is just like bringing them to the finish line and closing the sale. You can find this checkout page in my store, and you can find the link below the video. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below, and I hope you have a wonderful day.